This podcast may contain views and opinions which are those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any local agency, organization, union, employee, or company, including the podcast.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hi out there in YouTube and Spotify world.
What's up?
We are back. And again, you won't have to suffer through just me and George.
Not this week.
Excited to present our guest for the week, John Green. What's up, buddy?
Not much. How you been? how you been doing?
Returning guest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, nice to have you on again.
Right?
Second time.
And we got a smiling Savas over there.
Oh, fuck yourself.
Mustache free. Oh, I love you too, Savas.
He grows back.
So we're back. I know we had some complaints the week prior to last week. We did have some technical difficulties.
Yep.
We had our editor was moving.
Sorry.
Stuff happens, dude, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. I did have a couple, questions and like, hey, what's up with the show this week and what's going on, and that's honestly for me it's nice because I guess people are watching.
People are watching. That's good. That's good.
But we apologize. We probably should have done a better job of
coordinating that.
That. We just stuff was fluid a little bit, and we had a show ready. We had planned. It just couldn't get done. So we apologize to you guys. I hope you guys still love us. Savas?
Not so much.
Not so much.
That's fine.
But, I hope you guys still are enjoying the show. We will continue to put out videos every week. Like I said, we do apologize. But it's going to happen every now and then, but we will do a better job of letting you know when we have to go on vacation or whatever. We're going to have to coordinate that shit too.
We'll coordinate that more.
Do we have to all take vacation at the same time?
What's that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
you're right.
I'll figure that out.
Let's get to the show. John, how you been, man?
Good. Just busy.
Yeah?
Just busy.
What do you got going on right now that you can talk about?
We got some arbitration scheduled, bargaining 5 different contracts right now. So it's been definitely busy. And obviously the UPS stuff going on, but it's all good.
And I think I did like a poor job of introduction because for those of you who didn't watch John's first episode that has hit 1,000 views, I might say, John is the president for Local 952. Obviously, Eric's the secretary treasurer. John's the president, so all complaints go to John.
Wow. Kind of speechless, but I guess that's kind of the way it goes.
Oh, just kidding. Don't send complaints to John. You can complain to your BA.
Can you go see if my phone's ringing? But I'm sure it is.
Like I said, John is the president. He's came out of Albertsons, Irvine, Brea.
Yeah.
I mean, first Bonds, right? All that good stuff.
Cisco Vons.
I think we went over your get to know you last time.
Yeah.
But so you have, definitely have a lot going on in 952. A lot going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, where do you start? We got.
We'll start with something a little more current because, like last week and a half ago, we talked about the strike fund resolution. So, let's bring that up.
Yeah, it's out there. I know a lot of people have worked really hard to get it out there, and we're, I believe, July 8th. We're going to do the debate.
July 8th, the
and
debate,
vote it.
debate and discussion.
And debate and discussion, and then we'll vote it, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, voting will be, just so you guys know, if you're a 952 member, it's open, and you should be involved. Come down to the hall. July 8th is when voting starts. So the debate and discussion will happen July 8th. We'll be voting that day. Also voting the 9th, which is Saturday the 8th, Sunday the 9th, 10th and 11th. On the 10th and 11th, the hall will be open for 12 hours. So for those of you guys who, may have different schedules, it's going to be open from 8 to 8 for Monday and Tuesday, the 10th and 11th. And then at the close on the 11th, the votes will be will be counted that day, and it looks like posted that day is, I think, what it says. Or the day after.
We'll know the results that day. So,
so I mean, do you want to discuss a little bit about it, or I mean,
I've heard a lot of different things, a lot of different views, being out in the yards, and we've had a couple of meetings and questions are asked. The point I'd like to get across is it's got to get started. It's got to get up there to be usable and be more consistent, but you have to get it going, right? Yeah. And not so much pertaining to what you're going to get out of it if you go on strike. I think people need to step back and focus on the real reason to have a strike fund, right? And I believe the reason to have the strike fund is to give you that extra leverage to get a better contract, And I heard a BA over at Local 848 that has a healthy strike fund kind of put it best when he's sitting at the table and the company says, hey, that's it. We got no more to talk about. The BA sits there and says, well, I got $6-7 million in a strike fund, says we're still talking. And ultimately I think that's what you need to focus on and what it's for. It's sure is it great to have a little bit of supplement to last longer in a strike and not let the company starve you out.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part of it is the fact that the company knows you have one. That gives you leverage to get a better contract. So ultimately, I think it's something we need. I think it's a great thing. And it's ultimately it's there to benefit the membership, right? Yeah. And I think that's what we need to focus on. Ultimately, the finances of whatever it's going to be and how it's going to grow, whether or not they do the initiation fee, all that pretty much is a moot point if you don't get it in and get the leverage to get better contracts. So
yeah,
I believe the resolution itself has been sent out to all the membership, and everybody has a chance to read it and come in and debate it, and let's see how we can get it done.
I think that's important, is that leverage that you get. The goal even of a strike or negotiations isn't to strike. That's your leverage, right? So the strike fund just strengthens that leverage. It doesn't really. I mean, you should never want to go on strike, and it's good to be able to have that fund to strengthen, like I said, not that leverage that we have to withhold our labor, but the goal is a good contract. And I think some people miss that, and we do have some members, I mean, just being around for a while, we do have some members that are like, oh, fuck this company. Like, they want to strike them, even.
We have a lot of members like that.
Every
they want negotiation
to, punish
I do
the fucking company.
Yeah, every single negotiation I do, it seems like when we have the proposal meeting or a strike vote, let's just strike them.
Yeah.
Let's just strike them. Well, what if I get you this and this? Oh, no, let's just strike them, right? I don't care what they give us.
Yeah.
Some guys really want to go out there and wave their picket signs.
They're so mad at the companies at that point that they just want to strike. But like you said, John, it's not the goal isn't to strike, right?
Yeah.
When you go into negotiations, the goal isn't to strike. We don't necessarily take a strike vote just to strike. We take a strike vote to motivate the company, saying, hey, if you don't give in to our demands, then we're going to pull the trigger, right?
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I think when you're at the table and actually, a contract, all as a contract really is what your point of leverage was at the time of settlement, right? Mm-hmm. And every contract reflects what your leverage was at the point of settlement. And so at the end of the day, I think you're just trying to up that leverage mark. And the higher that leverage is, the better the contract's going to be. Yeah. Right? And it's, it's so many things go into calculating. We've had a few of them now, right? And everybody's like, we got to strike today, or we got to do it. Are we going to do it at midnight?
Yeah.
When the extension's up on the 2nd, and ultimately, your goal is to keep them at the table and keep bettering and keep them moving to a better contract, right? But once you pull them out, that's not really what gets you the best contract. What gets you the best contract is them believing that you're going to walk and giving in before that, right? So,
and I think we've actually seen some, and it kind of just adds to that leverage point. We've seen some where, members will go out on strike, and it actually can backfire on them if the company knows that they can't last that long, and the company can last longer. When they come back to the table, they almost want to pull some of that stuff back, right?
yeah, I mean, once you technically, once you strike, then your job is to try to get the contract and get everybody back to work, right? Yeah. That's all got to be negotiated, and yeah, technically, all your TAs, once you pull the trigger, they're out the door unless you could bargain it back in on your way back in the door. A strike fund is there to create power and leverage. You don't want to use it if you don't have to, right? And then the bigger it is, the more leverage you have. And, it all depends on the different situations. We have groups with 1,800, people, and you have groups that have a small amount of people. But ultimately, the amount of leverage that it builds is for everybody, right? Yeah. Anybody that's part of the local that's sitting down and bargaining a contract will have that leverage and that tool in the back pocket. So,
and I think, one thing that isn't discussed either, because I know some of the complaints were, in regard to not being able to use the strike fund or not seeing the benefit of the strike fund, let's say. And to your point, the unseen benefits are that of leverage for sure. But not only that, like the legacy portion of it, like you're not thinking, but the generation behind you that's going to have to vote on the contracts that have to deal with your pension per se, or not so much your pension, but your contributions and all the, medical benefits stuff. Like that all plays into, you might be retired and not be able to vote, but you're taking care of that younger generation that you don't really see.
The ones that are fighting for your rights.
Yeah. What do you think, Sawas?
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's hopefully going to be there. Like you said, for generations, we have 4th, 5th generation Teamsters in our local. And there's a lot of us that have kids that'll probably end up working with the local. It happens quite a bit. If you think back in the beginning of the Teamsters and before we had all the cameras and the laws and the way the strikes were, and people literally, shed blood and died over the issues that we bargain today. And the reason that we have what we have is because of what they did before us. And ultimately, the legacy that we could build for people 2, 3, 4, 5 generations, that are going to come behind us, that it's important. And that's what makes the union stronger going forward. It's great. Like we've had our rallies and the amount of people that come, the rally that we had at our local for UPS, packed. The other thing I'll say about the strike fund, and we had our last meeting, and announced that we were going to read the resolution and announce the dates for the debate and the vote. Either way it goes, the one thing I will say is that in that meeting we had that we read the resolution, we probably had 250, 300 people there maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know the numbers for sure,
a packed house.
but it was packed. And what that says is people care and they're involved.
Yeah.
And that just on its own is what makes this local strong, right? Yeah. And people care, they're involved, because I'm sure if you did this 10, 15 years ago, and I think they probably did, but I doubt they had a showing like that, right? And so ultimately, you're serving, it just goes to show how many people are involved in the local, right? Yeah. And how many people are interested, and when we do these rallies, how many people show up from different industries to support other industries, right? And yeah, no matter how it goes, people are involved, and they're giving input. Either way, they're giving input, and that, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that as an administration, we've been able to get that many people involved into what's going on.
You know, and I got to say, I'm somewhat jealous, and I've said it before, you know, coming out of UPS, I think a lot of our membership, and it's not all of them. So if it's not you, I you know, I'm not speaking to you specifically, but I would say a good percentage of our UPS membership like really isn't involved. And we see a lot of the grocery guys, you know, a lot of the grocery guys, a lot of the bus guys, you know, or guys or gals, excuse me, that are just really involved. They care, they pay attention. And I've always kind of chalked it up in my own head to them having to fight more. You know what I mean? Just being, you know, when you're weathered, when you have to fight a lot, you kind of get like you're ready and you want to be prepared. And, you know, for UPS, to be honest, they've had one of the best contracts for a long time. And
probably the best for a long time, or at least the best private sector contract for sure.
Yeah. So I think the fight hasn't all, you know, been there all that much, but I think a little bit more people are definitely starting to open their eyes and starting to pay attention with how contentious this negotiation is going. I mean, it's pretty interesting. We can kind of move into the negotiation, the UPS stuff. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? I know you're not directly involved, but
yeah, no, I'm doing the little contracts. Right. No, you know, it's, you know, I believe we talked about it last time I was here, and I talked about it in the general membership meetings that everybody, as a matter of fact, I had a steward from the CVS warehouse call me last night and was just saying, thank you for everything you're doing. I'm watching the UPS stuff, just completely impressed with how the locals handling things. But ultimately, it's like I said before, everybody in every industry needs to keep an eye on this contract. And it's that important. And you know, like you said, yeah, they've had it good for a long time. But there was a point in time back in the day that they had to fight to get there.
Yeah.
Right? If you compare the UPS contract with all the other, you know, private sector contracts around, you know, other than maybe the master freight agreement, there's nothing that detailed. And I don't even know that the master freight agreement's that detailed.
It's a big contract.
But those are what built what we have. And when we sit down with these other contracts, you know, it's the bar. That's what we're shooting for. So the better you do as a UPS group, the better everybody else is going to do following, jumping on that, you know, the coattail.
Yeah.
And because, you know, no matter what it is, and it was years and years and years of bargaining to be able to build that. I mean, you couldn't bargain that whole contract in a year. You know, I mean, there's so much language that covers so many different aspects of the business that a little bit of it at a time is what you're trying to put into your other contracts and get them as close as you can.
And we did speak to Gary Brockett, right? Our number one returning guest, or he's our most frequent.
Our most
guest.
frequent.
We did talk to him a little bit about their contract. I know CVS has a contract coming up, and he was just saying a lot of that. We were asking him about certain language, you know, language that we have in the UPS contract, and he's like, "No, we're trying to get that language into our contract. We've looked at the UPS contract, and we're trying to get this, and we're trying to get this." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." I just, you know, being whatever you want to call it, I mean, we refer to it as the brown bubble, right? But being in that brown bubble, you really don't see. You just kind of think, well, everybody has it like this, you know. We're all union and we all have it, and it's not really like that, you know.
It's something to, you know, I wish I would have gone into UPS when I was 18 years old. I mean, I'm looking at Sabas's retirement coming up, and I'm like, man, I should have done that a long time ago, right?
You're retiring, Sabas?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's, you know, I mean, as busy as we are and everything that's going on, and it seems like every day you're like, yeah, well, it'll slow down tomorrow, right? But it just, you know.
When were you going to take vacation, John?
Yeah. I'm still looking at the calendar, right? But it's, you know, I remember back when I became a Teamster, it was, you know, when you would go to the general membership meeting or you'd go to the hall and they would have swear-ins and you'd get your card. When you started your first day of work, the union came in and had a whole segment of orientation. invitation to talk to you about the union and things like that, right? And it's something we need to get back to. It takes a little bit of work. The companies don't really want to do it, right? They don't want to.
Yeah, of course.
They don't want to have your union leadership come in and talk to all the new hires, but it's something that's important to do, and it's important to get them involved, like you said, and like just getting your health care. And then, people don't realize that with a strike too, when you're calculating when you're going to go out, and we're reading the contracts. Okay, if we go out, how long are they going to keep their health and welfare? It's something you have to consider, every aspect of what you do. If you're going to extend picket lines, if you're not going to extend them, chance in getting sued, if you do things wrong, or if you pull everybody out and it turns out if you would have waited 2 more days or 3 more days, they would have had their health care for another month. You got to calculate all that, right?
Yeah.
And you're responsible to make it the easiest you possibly can for everybody there. And not only that, you want to make sure that everybody's going to stand on that line in solidarity so that you have your leverage, right? Like you said, in the event that you have to go, to get a little bit of supplement and, $200-300 a week more than what you get from the IBT could make a big difference to some people.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know, you look at like the drivers at UPS make probably more than most drivers, in the country.
Yeah.
But how many of them still put that money away? And then you look at what percentage is part-time. And I know they're not making, that kind of money.
Something like that.
The idea is to make it as easy as you can for everybody to, it's $2.30 a week, right? I probably lose that on my couch.
Less than a coffee.
Right, so.
Less than Starbucks.
Starbucks. Let's not talk about Starbucks again.
I mean, that's, when you break it down, it was 50 cents a day.
No, it's not. Well,
is it not even that?
Not even that.
That's great.
Everything is built and trying to be put together so that you're as strong as you possibly can, right? You build a house, you want it to be as strong as you can. Yeah. And so so it can't crack. And ultimately that's the goal of all of this. Everything. Bargaining, the meetings, even down to the softball tournaments that we do and the family picnics. Christmas dinners, Stewart dinners. It's there to build the house, right? Yeah. It's there to build the mentality and the strength of the local, of having people involved. We said a long time ago, you can run a local by keeping everybody in the dark, or you could educate everybody and have a strong local. And we've taken that choice to educate people as much.
We've actually heard that exact thing from other business agents, other locals, where some locals do take that approach where they kind of keep everybody in the dark and just stay in office. And it is more work, I have to say. Like, it is more work doing it the way that you guys are doing it. But, I appreciate it. Being as somebody that wants to be informed, wanted to at the time, previously, I definitely appreciate that, and I know it's more work. And just to your, analogy of building a house, like, how do you start a house? You start with the foundation. It kind of goes, to something that me and Savas have been talking about for a long time. And it's building a culture, like changing a culture where, and it is what it is. I'm not going to talk too much on the past, but like, I think a culture of apathy kind of was just there, just kind of not getting by, not really a lot of participation. But like he said to, those girls, that's inspiring, because that's something that we talked about. And me and Salas, a couple years back would go early to the preload as drivers, and we would try to talk to these people and educate them a little bit, maybe make sure everything was good with the members. We got to make sure everything's good with the members. It was about changing culture, and it's something that myself and George and Sawas talked about when we started the show, was change the culture. Like, and you got to get the younger generation. And I got to say, just in what we've doing, and it's only been, 4 years for you guys in office, but the culture is starting to change. I'm starting to see the younger generation get involved. And that's, when they get to the full-time levels and they're way up there, now they're going to be more involved. And I see the culture changing, and it's a testament to what you guys are doing, to be honest.
Well, that's the exciting part about it, right? When you go to the events or you go to, our family picnic even, you go there and you get to meet everybody's family. And not only that, they're proud to bring the family to meet you. You know what I mean? And
John
when
Green.
you see, no, I don't mean me. I mean, it's just for them to meet the people that you work with, and not only the people that you work with, but the people that are from the local, the business agents. And, I'm sure you have your members bring up their wives and say, hey, this is my business agent, and they're proud of that, right? And when you see that culture change, that's the most exciting part of the job, right? It's like when you get a guy back to work that probably shouldn't get his job back, and you see how it made a difference in his life. That's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the reward for all the hard work.
right, exactly. And it's like I see you guys here all the time on your time off too. You know what I mean? It's not just me or anybody else or Eric putting in all the hours. This local does it, with everybody. Yeah. And
freaking Ruben.
It's here we go with Ruben again.
We've talked about Ruben before.
Ruben's going through so much right now too. I mean, he's got this Keolis thing going. He's got every new negotiations I do that it's the first time we've, because we're getting into what going on 4 years. So all your 5-year contracts, someone that you haven't bargained yet and getting in here, and you just see the mentality of the companies, the way it used to go and to the way it's going now. I'm not going to say which contract it is, but we have one that we are negotiating that we just sat down with them a couple weeks ago for the first time. And the chair negotiator for the company is like, yeah, we're not going to answer any of your proposals until you give us absolutely everything. And we're like, nah, that's not how this works, okay? And I don't think they're used to being told no.
Yeah.
And this local's done a good job of telling them no and not taking no for an answer when you're right. Are they all perfect? No. Are they all going to be perfect? No. But they're all getting better, right? And even some of the contracts that, all of them so far, I believe, have been the best contract they've ever had. But that's not even a tip off the iceberg of what it means to change the mentality of the negotiations going forward, right?
Yeah.
Never get everything you want.
That's not a negotiation.
When you move them in negotiations, these companies that we have just struck, going forward, they know that's still an option, and it's not just going to be blowing smoke in the air. You know what I mean? They'll be like, well, when they say they're going to do it, they mean it, right? And that builds your leverage for the next time. But not only that, when you sit at the table the next time, you've changed their mentality on how they're going to deal with you, right? Because before they might not have, famous thing at the end of a contract negotiations is we'll say, hey, give me this one more thing, no matter what it is. Give it to me, because we're always looking for more, right?
Yeah.
We're never really, until they say this is my last, best, and final, we're never really willing to shut down on our side. But you get to the point to where, hey, we've got this to where it's a good deal. We always go back and say, hey, give me this one more thing.
Just a little more.
If you want us to recommend this,
Yeah.
right? And that's where I've gone back when we voted some of these, and, you'll have your diehards. It's still not good enough, right?
Yeah.
What you got to understand is you have now changed the mentality of those negotiations going forward. And when you sit down at the table next time, you can demand their respect because you earned it in the last one, right? We didn't just sit there and give them everything they wanted to get. We demanded more and ultimately got more. So when you sit down next time, you've earned the respect to be able to ask. It's like the CVS negotiations that we were talking about, and they're coming up in a couple of years. But the last contract we did, which probably the first time in a long time, that they had a lot of language change.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how much money, it's probably well over $300,000 that the language itself has won us on grievances.
Wow.
So even though, I've always said the economy changes and a good raise changes, right? I've had people that bargain nationwide contracts that I've taken classes from say, hey, if I got 4% for 10 years and kept my medical and a steady rise in my pension, I'd take it all day long, because most contracts don't average that for 10 years, right? Okay. So you look coming out of the pandemic, getting some pretty good raises. But prior to the pandemic, 2.5% was a good raise.
Wow.
Right? It always fluctuates. So, everybody says, well, like the first thing, the company will come in, okay, we want a 3-year deal. Well, why do you want to agree onto that yet? I don't even know what I'm getting. If I'm getting not that much, I'm not going to give you 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it short. But if you're giving me the world and raises going up, like say averaging 4.5%, I want to make that thing as long as I can,
Yeah.
All in the mentality of how it works, and we talk a lot about negotiations, but it's, with this local, it's just been everything with people getting involved. And the more involved they are, the stronger they are, the more leverage they have, and more leverage comes into better contracts. That's just the bottom line.
It's crazy how much
surgery.
that affects leverage.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that's why, we were out there, like Sawa said, we were out there doing the practice picketing. And that was kind of like my message, is just like, we do these things so that we don't have to do the strike. You know what I mean? We get involved and we show our power, and the company sees that. And it actually kind of plays into something that one of the other BAs, Norma, that's our political coordinator, she was saying that, that when we take a company out on strike, we run all their financials. We want to see like how much money they got in the bank, kind of how long they can last, how strong is the business, all that stuff. And they do the same with us. But I see that not only with money, right? And that kind of plays into the strike fund, right? If you have a strike fund, you let them know, hey, we got a strike fund, and we can stay out longer. But not only that, they take inventory of participation, because they also see like, okay, well, if a quarter of these guys will cross, let's say, just a roundabout number, if a quarter of these guys cross, then we can hold out longer. We can fire everybody else and, hire 3/4 new people, whatever. It just kind of all plays into that, like just how much power and how much participation and all that stuff, and it all equals leverage, like you were saying.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the grocery, and talk about how companies keep an eye on those things. Back when we were doing the grocery negotiations, we had a rally, I believe, in front of a store over in Buena Park or somewhere over there, right? And it was packed, huge. Well, I remember after it was over, the labor manager had called one of the BAs and said, hey, this is your guy. I think he called out on COVID, and he's here at your rally in front of the store. Well, how would you know if you ain't watching it, right? You know what I mean? So it does. It makes a difference. Just like when you do a strike vote, the company knows how many people came, who voted. Mm-hmm. Inevitably somebody always leaks to the company. But I'm glad they do, because then the company will be like, especially now, you got a 1,800 group unit and you have a strike vote and you have 150 people come and vote, the company's not going to be real impressed with that, right?
Yeah.
But like when we had the grocery, to where we had 1,000 people drive through during COVID,
They knew you guys weren't fucking around.
They paid attention, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it all plays into it, but it's fun to watch and it's fun to be a part of. That's for sure.
Move on to some fun stuff.
Savas is going to dance.
Savas is gonna dance, everybody.
Nope.
Oh God.
I wanted to talk about back up a little bit about the language. You know, I don't know if the UPSers out there know this is something that coming into the local that it was brought to my attention, and something that myself started practicing was we have the language to actually sit and a lot of time with the new members that come in, and made them packets, had the stewards in there. I didn't even know that language existed till I came in.
I don't your contract.
It was never practiced.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of stuff like that.
It was never practiced, and that in itself, I feel, has helped change the climate and the culture. And having those stewards, and you know, every now and then when I had the opportunity, would pop in and you know address these new hires that were coming in, and a lot of the other industries in our local don't have that language, you know, where they're afforded that time slot to sit with the members. And I know that would be great if every industry, every barn had that in their language. So, you know, it's something that we're going to continue to do. Obviously, right now we're not hiring, but we're going to continue practicing that. And I believe there was, if I'm not mistaken, there was more language added to that in negotiations, if I'm not mistaken, that we sat in.
Yeah, I believe it was clarified a little bit more, and
Right.
I think they allotted more time.
Yeah.
Sit down with new hires.
Yeah.
I think the language said it was like 15 minutes, right, or something.
It's. I didn't want to really get into the time.
Yeah, like the exact. Yeah,
But
and we can't talk. It's not T8 or
Yeah.
it's not ratified
Yeah,
yet,
yeah.
so it's not
So I
like
have to
current language.
So I don't have to worry about cutting that.
No, it's fine.
I mean,
there is current language in regard
well,
to sitting
there
down
is
with-
current language. I'm just saying, and there was some managers that were okay with us kind of, you know, taking a little bit more time with them. So I know that's something that maybe CVS or Albertsons would benefit from, you know.
I believe we put some language in CVS on that.
Yeah.
Albertsons will have to get that next time. But I mean, that's a huge part of getting people involved, right? Getting them when they're young, brand new into the Teamsters, and molding them to at the point where you need them for the leverage, they're there and they're educated and they understand. You know, how many people, you know, get to a point where they're voting a contract and they don't know what it means, right? And they don't care. It's you have to educate them and they have to care. That's the most important part about being a union. You have to give a damn, right? And it's not just for me. You know, just like going back to the strike fund, it isn't for me.
Yeah.
It's for everybody. You know, and the good part about that, people talk about how much is going to be paid out, whether this or that. Company don't know.
Yeah.
I got 10 people and I got $6-7 million in a strike.
You're not gonna
That
pay their whole
company
check.
has no freaking clue. Right?
Be sitting
Like
on the
how
strike
much
line,
I'm gonna
cooking
pay
up
them,
burgers and drinking
right?
beers.
They brought the In-N-Out truck to the strike line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? No. So
Oh, don't say that. The members are going to get mad.
That's where my money's going?
That was a joke, everybody.
the biggest thing we could do for everybody, no matter what it is just be involved.
Yeah.
Be involved, and you see it. You've seen it in the last 3.5, 4 years almost. More people involved, the better the contracts get, right? And it's a direct correlation. It really is.
I just want to say about the strike fund, too. I've heard a lot of people will say that this is something that the administration put out there, and this is absolutely furthest from the truth. It was the membership that put it out there that made a motion over a year ago to try to get this implemented in our local. And, there's been a lot of different, I guess I would call them rumors that are going around that there's other things in the background that are going on rather than truly what it is that the membership proposes. So it's something that the membership wanted.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I was one of the guys that left the Real Healthy Strike Fund, right? And when we came over, there were a lot of guys that were upset it didn't come with us.
Yeah.
But they're not set up that way. None of them are, and it doesn't happen. But then we were like, okay, well, we need one. And I'll give you a good example in grocery negotiations. We have basically all Albertsons except for Boxford. Boxford is under the bread plant over in Commerce, is the bread and milk plant is under 848's jurisdiction. So if we go on strike, the only ones in our group that get a strike benefit are the ones that are working over at Boxford.
Wow.
So, and it's just like other locals. If grocery goes on strike, 848, they have a strike fund. 630 has a strike fund. Our guys don't. And you're pull voting it, right? So the guys that have a strike fund are a little more willing to take more of a chance than the guys that don't, right?
That don't,
It's just common knowledge. So, but at
They're like,
the end of the day,
we're ready to stay out. Sorry.
now I'll tell you, speaking about participation and whatnot, you talk about, UPS. Earlier this morning was amazing. In down in Laguna was being that we weren't set up right in front of the building and went out to where the traffic was. The amount of people that came and got signs and went out there and rallied with us, the drivers and the part-timers, was impressive. It was impressive. So
Thank you guys for those of you guys that did participate. And obviously I'll be thanking everybody at the meetings and telling all the stewards to let you guys know that, on behalf of the local, I guess. I mean, I don't speak for the local, but on behalf of the local, myself and Savas for sure, thank you guys for participating. And it, at the end of the day, it is for you, but it's something that gives us joy to see people participating and to see the culture changing and all that stuff. And like Savas said, and just it was good. It was a good thing.
It's like joy and a motivator to continue to do things like that.
Yeah.
Get the members involved.
For sure.
yeah, and thank God it wasn't right in the middle of a little residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
Holy
Right.
cow.
But there are
neighborhood
across the street up on that hill. There's houses there, and they have lodged complaints before for I guess for the twilight or the preload, for them driving the pedos around. So like,
Just a little honking and beeping, or what?
yeah, apparently they could hear it up there.
Oh, I'm sure they heard all the horns
heard
from
it,
the UPS
right.
drivers leaving every freaking 2 minutes.
There was some of them just laid into it, and they would just held on to it. I was like,
No, I liked it. I wish everyone would have
one
done
of the most impressive things that I think I've ever seen since I've been in the local was the first time I toured inside a UPS building. Had no clue that's how they did things, right? I mean, I've never seen so many trucks and so many inside a building. I've been in there watching guys try to, the truck washers, try to get out and get it. I mean,
Oh, yeah, like take the cars out and put them back in.
I mean,
Car parkers.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
park about this close to each other.
Yeah.
yeah, see, all the Albertsons drivers would be fired. Vaughn's guys. We put a little scratch on and they're trying to call it an accident. These guys are like, you see one pulling out and the bumper's bending and you're like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the best thing was coming back to your truck, or
the window's broken.
yeah,
or
either that or
the
you got
mirror's
you got
gone.
a new truck and now there's a big old stripe across the side because the car parkers are rubbing your car against another one.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Just to switch gears, maybe you guys can touch on a little bit. So there was a letter sent out by Sean O'Brien. It was dated June 26th. George will post it up for you guys to read. Basically, in a nutshell, the IPA, which is the International Pilots Association.
It's not beer.
It's not beer.
Oh.
Not beer.
No. Is standing in solidarity with us.
I got excited. I was like, "Oh, beer is gonna stand."
Yeah.
Right? We got your back.
Yeah, strike line IPAs. This is gonna be a fun strike.
Yeah. So
No, so
It's a big deal.
right, International Pilots Association. So from what I understand, the pilots were very pivotal in the 97 strike.
Correct.
And for those of you guys that don't know, the IPA, they cover all the pilots that deliver our air. That's UPS's bread and butter. And actually, if that is what management will key on if they're delivering.
Oh, if they have to sacrifice
So if they
something,
deliver,
yeah.
if we go on strike, let's say, they deliver, they're going to be keying on that air because
Air.
it's the most profitable packages.
I've had management one time tell me it doesn't matter when ground gets there, as long as the air gets there by its designated time. They're like, ground could get there in a year from now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they
They
just
literally don't care.
But that's huge for UPSers. That's gigantic. That's to have the support this early in the game. I mean, right out of the bat, we're not even. That's just more leverage to kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's knowing that, man, they have the support of these guys, and they aren't Teamsters, right? So they're not Teamsters. UPS might think that, oh, well, hey, we'll still be able to have some sort of service going on. I mean, that's big. John, did we talk about what kind of music you liked last time?
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah, remember?
Did we?
Good, and I'll put that right here.
I don't remember. Real quick, last segment we were going into it before, but an ode to Mark Davison. What kind of music do you like? Let's hear it.
Oh God, I listen to a lot of Hispanic music.
Okay.
Country. I love country.
Nice.
But I can, back in the day, I was a Metallica guy, right? Back in the day.
Nice.
I can listen to pretty much everything. I get a lot of music every day. So my kids with the Spanish thing, I have 107.5 as the preset station in my radio, so that's what they listen to.
Yeah, favorite song?
To and from. No, I'm not going to get into that. I'll tell you.
Favorite song?
I'll tell you my favorite.
Sing it.
My favorite concert that I went to was Shakira.
Really?
Oh,
really?
she's probably
Unbelievable.
She's probably so good
Unbelievable.
live.
Since you're not going to
concert.
sing, can you do?
No,
Shakira shake?
hips don't lie, bro. Okay, so, but we talked about the Shakira concert and all that.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't remember
right.
you don't remember them jamming out in the
guys tried to
parking
get me
lot?
to
That's
sing
right. We
like
were
a
waiting for
virgin.
you to do a dance.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Want to see them hips?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Whether they lie or not.
Actually, my hips are titanium, so they're both of them.
That's a good one.
So,
You done any riding lately?
yeah, a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
I finally took a day off and rode down on the river.
Dude, what?
Took a day off.
Day off, dude. The membership's going to be upset.
I apologize. I'll work.
I just want to say,
I'll work a double Saturday.
I'll work a double on Saturday. So I just got to say, for those of you guys that don't know, I mean, it's an on-running joke, but John is one of the hardest workers around. I mean, putting in the hours. We talk about Ruben too. Ruben here at the local. Just some hard workers here. There's some guys that just put in the time. And it's bigger than you, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's you could be on the truck, you could be relaxing, hanging out, get your scheduled vacations, no big deal.
But then I wouldn't be able to answer all those complaint phone
Yeah.
calls.
Right? Send them to.
give them the extension to your office.
I think they already have it.
Of course they do.
Yeah, because Eric, he'll tell him, "Oh, you should call the president." Like, wait a minute here. Now, shout out to Eric. I got to tell you, him leaving every Sunday and coming back Thursday night or Friday, and this week he didn't even make it back.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how you do it. I mean, that's tough.
Shoot, it's been a while. I mean, I know our, us being involved in the negotiations, myself and Sawas, we were gone, and Eric was gone that whole time, obviously. And then they went into national because we were involved in the Southwest and the West. When they went international, me and Sawas aren't involved in that. It's just STs, IBT reps, like the higher ups. And he went straight in from what we did, which was a lot. Straight into national negotiations, and I think they've been there for the past 7 weeks straight.
Damn.
And flying out Sunday and flying back on Thursday, Friday, whatever day they end. And then, like you said, this week I don't think they're coming back till after the 4th of July.
Negotiations or if you haven't been in them, they're, even if they're going good, they're stressful, right? And this week, I think I negotiated 3 different contracts on 3 different days. And at least there you're kind of changing it up a little bit, or at least changing the subjects up. But to go in, and I know they're at the table like all day, right?
Yeah.
All day,
Hours.
late into the night, trying to get it done. And hats off to them. That's a lot of work, and you're not at home, and it's a stressful, issue to go through. It's
Sacrifice.
Yeah, big time.
And at the end of the day, you're sacrificing for the members. It's not like Eric's going to get a raise if he negotiates a better contract for you guys. I mean, that's just not how it works, right?
No.
So it's
But George will.
yeah, George is.
I'll get a raise.
Yeah,
George is the only one sitting here that's actually going to get a raise.
So he's like, Eric,
I do want you guys to know that George makes the most money out of all of us.
That is true.
But, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I look at all the stuff that's changing, and I hope, as a 952 person, if you're watching this, and as a Teamster in general, because I think the route that Sean has gone from the top really is what it comes down to. He's taken that position, and, it's working its way down the line, and I think there's a lot of new blood and fresh faces up, in national, and just watching that, everything kind of change and get more active and get more, more powerful, really. What's Sean saying? Bigger, better, faster. I mean,
buckle your chin straps.
yeah, buckle your chin straps. Shit's,
I wake up in the middle
shit's
of the
getting
night,
crazy. John's sleeping. Buckle your chin strap.
Yeah, it's and like you say, with the IPA getting on board and the mentality from the IBT down. I mean, you've seen it. It changes. Just like I said, in our other contracts, it sets up for your next negotiations. Mm-hmm. And, I've never been in the UPS negotiations, but I'm being told they didn't go this quick, right? And so giving them deadlines to get certain things done and sending the message out there that, yeah, we're here to do the work, right? We're here to do the work, and we're here to get it done. No matter what goes on through here, ultimately, I believe you guys will get a pretty good deal. But you're also setting it up for the next time too, right? Because it's the same thing. The other side has to respect the way it's been handled, and they got to know how it's going to be. They're going to have an idea what you're going to do next time, right? So, and changing a company's mentality is hard, very hard.
They're like, these motherfuckers like to fight.
Right. I mean, it's one, they don't like being told no. They don't like having limits put on them.
Yeah.
And then when ultimately they got to give into it, they don't like the fact that they gave into it, So
I agree.
They continue to try to fight things. But ultimately, once you change that mentality and things go forward, it goes better for everybody, But you got to set that expectation. You got to demand it. And then once you get it, we understand each other. And it'll be easier to get through next time, right?
Well, that's the goal, right? Like we said, the goal is always a good contract. All that leverage and all that, participation and everything that we build is to better people's lives. That's really what it comes down to. Even, and I'm not afraid to admit it, we did run into some people, I did personally, that were not for a strike, not for involvement. They want nothing to do with it. I got to say, you're going to benefit from all these other people out there willing to put their lives on the line, willing to, work the hours like John and not take vacations. And you're going to benefit from all that. And I hope one day you understand. It's a lot of people putting into you, taking that paycheck home to your, to your family and benefiting off all that hard work.
With that said, look, I want to say this. For anybody out there that, has had a thought or considering of even crossing the picket line, whether it's myself or John or George or one of your stewards or a senior employee member, go and talk to them, okay? Discuss it with somebody. I know we all have difference of opinions sometimes, or people have different views, but before you consider crossing that picket line, talk to somebody, pick up the phone, especially the younger generation that maybe don't understand it completely. You can reach out to myself, John, George, or any of your stewards, because I've heard, a lot of people maybe have considered or have even had that thought. So please do yourself a favor and talk to somebody first.
And that really, I actually, to kind of touch off what you're saying, they might not know, and you guys out there might not know that, the Teamsters don't just negotiate your contracts and they don't want you to cross and blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot that they do on top of that as far as like when workers are on strike. We have connections with, food banks and whatnot. We pass out food. They'll pass out gift cards at times when they're available. There's a lot of resources. And one that I actually wanted to bring up, and I think we kind of touched on insurance. John touched on insurance before. So in California, so this is only a California thing, and I apologize. I know there's people that watch from all over the place, but for California, AB 2350 takes into effect tomorrow, which would, as of right now, is going to be July 1st. So it takes into effect July 1st, 2023. Basically what that is a striking workers insurance coverage. So we sat down, myself and our political coordinator, Norma Lopez, and talked to a politician in regard to what the bill was and how it works. There's no pre-qualifications. It doesn't matter how much you make. So you UPS drivers out there that make, fairly good money, it doesn't matter. If you are a striking worker, you are entitled to this. The last I checked, or the last we checked, it was going through, it's already passed. It's already been signed by the governor. It was going through the budget phase, trying to figure out how they were going to fund it and whatnot. But it takes effect July 1st. And what that does is, if you're a striking worker and your insurance lapses, as soon as it lapses, you can call Covered California and you can get the Cadillac healthcare plan, the top tier healthcare plan with the maximum government subsidies. So it's basically like if you were, super, super poor, and they give insurance basically dirt cheap, and you can be covered through Covered California while you're on strike. It's huge for us. It's another piece of leverage. I don't usually thank California for too many laws because they're usually not in my favor, or taxes or whatever. But this one's good. It is going to help the striking worker. So it's important. But just back to those benefits, there's a lot that the Teamsters do for you, even on the back end. So don't be afraid to ask, like Sawa said. And if it's a money issue or something, there might be some help. I know that our local, specifically 952, the last strike that we had, and I don't know that it's every strike, but the last strike we had, they offered strike loans at a bank that is associated with us.
Credit Union, yeah, he does.
So they offer strike loans. There's a lot that you can do to set yourself up in a good position to fight for what you need. And that's really what it comes down to. You're fighting for yourself and for your brother next to you, and it's a good thing. So talk it up.
Talk it up and don't cross that picket line.
Going back to kind of what Saba said there a little bit ago, what everybody needs to think about is, I, as a president of local and sitting on the e-board, this local, prior to us getting in, had quite a few scabs in it, right? And we sat in meetings and we went through things and we let a lot of them back in. And the thing that you hear the most is, I was young, I didn't understand. You know, my wife's in the hospital, I got to pay the medical bills, I got to look. Everybody that you work with every day has to make a sacrifice in the event you go on strike. But the other thing you need to step back and look at is, and especially a job like UPS, right? You know, I have a lot of neighbors that work for UPS, and they're living pretty good. You have that job that was built by a contract in a union to be able to have what you have. And people before you made those sacrifices so that you can enjoy them now. And just like my job at a grocery, right? I made a good living in grocery, and I'm proud of it, and supported a family and whatnot. But the sacrifices that were made for generations and generations and generations is why you're enjoying what you're enjoying.
Yeah.
And you can't forget that going forward. You talk about like the strike fund and leaving a legacy. Well, every contract you get from now till you're gone and the new guys get coming up is the legacy you're leaving, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that guy that says, yeah, I was willing to break the legacy, right? Because that's what it is. You know, in the grocery, I remember they were talking, if you have one guy cross, that guy could train 10 people that they're shipping in to do the scab work, right?
Wow. You didn't even think about that,
And,
really.
and that's how a company can get through. You know, one guy makes a big difference, and a bigger difference than people think. And all of them that I've talked to regretted it, right? And not only, you know, and you're, you know, how do you work with your brothers every day and say, I'm the one that didn't care.
Yeah, I'm the one that
didn't
crosses.
care.
Yeah.
You know,
Make yourself
so,
a pariah.
you know, just step back and realize that people fought for you to have what you have. And you need to fight for people coming after you to have what they're going to have. And it only gets better if everybody sticks together.
Well, I don't think any one of us can follow that. That was very, very inspirational, John. You know, obviously the show is a little more informational packed, but great episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. With that, we'll kind of close us out with Fuck Sawas. I still love you, but fuck Sawas.
I need a strike fund for this fucking show. Oh wait, I make $0.
He's crossing that picket line.
I mean, I got to take the bumper sticker off my car.
Yeah.
Please like, subscribe, share. Like we say, smash that like button. George?
Email us at ocst.000@gmail.com. You can put in whatever you want, questions about the strike fund, questions about the picket line, or just anything in general. Just hit it up in there. Instagram, ocst.952. Same thing. Follow us on Instagram. We're trying to update that more, maybe do some live stuff. We were talking about maybe doing a tattoo thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Silver.
Yeah, shout out to Silver if you're watching that.
And just real quick before we end the show, I just want all of you that ordered a pay-up shirt on the IBT app. We're waiting for a bulk shipment to come in. We were told that there's an Excel sheet with everybody that ordered something. Yes. We've been hit up a lot about these shirts. As soon as we get them, we'll get them out to you. And it's been a question all over. Every time we go into the building, everybody's asking for the
shirts. We're like,
shirts.
it's not us, it's the IBT.
Yeah, so
they have the shirts.
Just wanted to throw that out there, so you know,
So
we
you
should have
guys,
those soon.
Like UPS gets shirts?
No.
Oh.
But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it every week. Yeah, that's all we got. Till next time.
See ya.